Hey everybody, Dr. Phil here. This is going to be a video on cyber security. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was a position, a very visible, a very prominent, very important position in a firm. It's called the Chief Information Security Officer, or CISO. So this person plays a role in developing an organization's policies designed to protect information assets and technologies. Advise developing, implementing, and maintaining processes to minimize IT risks. They should handle security incidents, oversee security tools, and lead the development and enforcement of security protocols and practices. And it requires, or at least strongly prefers, a master's degree, probably an MBA, or maybe a master's degree in cybersecurity, or possibly even both. So the common job responsibilities of a Chief Information Security Officer, or CISO. They should ensure alignment with the strategic direction of the business, examine and report information security risks to meet compliance and regulatory requirements, manage security incidents to protect corporate IT assets, and oversee relationships with security-related vendors to ensure they meet security requirements. So what about generative AI in cybersecurity? So it's been predicted by experts that generative AI, or sometimes we'll just say Gen AI, will significantly impact the cybersecurity and cyber defense landscape. It can be used to learn from patterns found in cybersecurity threats and vulnerabilities. It can be trained on massive datasets of cybersecurity data, and can be used to identify patterns and trends that aid in predicting and preventing future cybersecurity threats. So what about types of cybersecurity threats? So a cybersecurity threat is an event or condition that has the potential for causing asset loss and the undesirable consequences or impact from such loss. So examples of assets could include information, software, and even hardware. So causes of asset loss. Situations and events related to adversity typically referred to as disruptions, hazards, or threats. And types of asset loss. All forms of intentional, unintentional, accidental, incidental, misuse, abuse, error, weakness, defect, fault, and/or failure events and associated conditions. Cybersecurity threats should be assessed and remediated in order to prevent ongoing or future impacts. And of course, this should be done regularly. So what are some types of cybersecurity vulnerabilities? Cybersecurity vulnerabilities are weaknesses or flaws in system security procedures, design, implementation, and control that could be compromised accidentally or intentionally. System compromises can result in security breaches, lost information or data, system outages, violations of an organization's system security policy, and vulnerabilities can also occur as a result of security exposure in an operating system or application software. So what about cybersecurity exploits? So an exploit is defined as the means through which a system vulnerability can be used by a hacker to execute a malicious activity on a system. It can include specific code, command sequences, and open source exploit kits that are designed to take advantage of software vulnerability or a flaw in system security. It also allows for an intruder to remotely access a network to gain unwarranted privileges to move deeper into the organization's network. This may be a term you've heard of before, social engineering. This is the manipulation of people so that they give up their confidential information, including bank information, passwords, access to computers or networks, and possibly even social security numbers. Social engineering attacks exploit individuals' trust and lack of knowledge about what types of information should be divulged. Authentication and cybersecurity goals. So authentication, think about the root of that, authentic. Authentication is a process that helps an organization to establish the origin of information or to determine an individual's or entity's identity. Authentication methods are designed to 1. Prevent unauthorized access to an organization's resources, and 2. Ensure that those who need access to data and information receive the access they need. Now let's talk now about spyware. So what is spyware? So spyware is software that collects information about your internet surfing habits and behaviors. The information collected by spyware includes keystrokes, passwords, account numbers, and other confidential information. Spyware is commonly installed via free downloads or by visiting certain illegitimate websites. Now, what about bots? So sometimes bots are also referred to as crawlers, spiders, internet robots, web bots, and these can be used in both malicious and non-malicious ways. So web crawlers, one of the typical good bots, is used to gather information. Bots used for this purpose, we call them web crawlers. And again, there's more of a positive association, positive connotation with web crawlers. Malware bots use self-propagating malware that infects its host and connects back to a central server. Bots have been used to perform repetitive jobs with no malicious intent, such as indexing a search engine or gathering information. What about ransomware? So think about the word ransom. So this is malware that makes a computer's data inaccessible until a ransom is paid. In a ransomware attack, ransomware typically encrypts the victim's data files. A message offers to decrypt the files if the victim makes a ransom payment to the perpetrator. Payment is made via a means that is difficult to trace, such as Bitcoin or prepaid cards. Once payment is made, the perpetrator may or may not send a decrypting code that allows the victim to open their data files again. Another version of ransomware threatens to make the victim's personal files public unless the ransom is paid. The damaging software makes the computer's data inaccessible until a ransom payment is made. Now, what about keyloggers? So a keystroke logger, also called a keylogger or system monitor, is a form of spyware on surveillance technology that records all actions typed on a keyboard. Keyloggers can be used on smartphones, tablets, and laptop computers. They can be hardware devices and software applications, and they can be software-based keyloggers that are often a Trojan horse that is installed without the user's knowledge. And keyloggers can record passwords and confidential information. So what about a Trojan horse? So a Trojan horse is a program that appears legitimate but executes an unwanted activity when activated. Keyloggers can be used on smartphones, tablets, and laptop computers. So a Trojan horse can be used to delete data, it can be used to block or even copy data, it may also be used to modify data, and it can certainly disrupt computer performance. So what about insider threats? In cybersecurity, an insider is any individual that has knowledge of or authorized access to an organization's IT resources. Employees or members of an organization that are given information or access to IT resources. People who have received a badge or credentials to access areas of an organization. This could include vendors or perhaps even repair workers. Vendors or individuals that have developed products or services for the organization could also, again, be potentially an insider threat. And finally, an individual who has knowledge about an organization's cost structures, pricing, customer agreements, goals, and strategy. So what about risk management decisions? How are we making decisions to manage all of this risk? So cybersecurity risk analysis balances the costs and benefits of implementing countermeasures to cybersecurity threats and intrusions. The purpose of risk analysis is to identify, number one, an organization's assets, number two, the potential loss to an organization due to threats, and three, how to best respond to a loss of data, information, and infrastructure. Risk analysis consists of 5 steps. Step number 1, the organization assigns values to their information assets, including data, information, and infrastructure. Step number 2, they estimate the potential losses per security risks. This includes costs associated with a malware attack, costs due to fines and penalties from a security breach, and lost revenue due to system downtime. Step number 3, once the potential losses have been calculated, an estimate of the likelihood of each type of risk or breach is calculated. Step number 4, costs are analyzed to create a range of potential costs to the organization. And then finally, step number 5, after careful analysis, the organization makes decisions about appropriate countermeasures and the policies and procedures that should be implemented. So the important thing here is that, the risk management decisions that are made, whatever resources are going to be expended on this should be proportionate to, the perceived risk or the perceived threat. They don't need to be spending too much money in this area, but they, of course, also don't need to be spending too little money in this area. And that kind of ties us nicely into a cybersecurity plan. So creating a cybersecurity plan is an important strategic decision for an organization, a foundational component in protecting digital assets, maintaining customer trust, and ensuring the continuous operation of its services. A cybersecurity plan will help safeguard IT assets as well as sensitive data, for example, customer information, intellectual property, IP, proprietary information, from unauthorized access. And a cybersecurity plan can ensure compliance with regulatory requirements and also protect against legal action and penalties. So it's always important for a firm of really any size. Everybody's on the web these days. Everybody's, using cloud-based services, for example. It's important for everybody to have a cybersecurity plan. All right, that brings us to the end of this video. Thanks for watching, and I will see you all in a future video.